Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is a fantasy movie review and I'll be having a look at the animated movie Dragon Age Dawn of the Seeker. So in case you don't know, Dragon Age is based on a popular video game, and this is an animated movie which is apparently set within the stories that actually exist within the game itself, so it is actually in continuity with the game apparently. The story focuses on Cassandra, who is part of the Chantries, which are the religious order, and she's part of the Chantry's elite Templar unit called the Seekers, which are basically these are meant to be uncorruptible, almost like special forces. If you can imagine, the Templars are like your standard soldiers. Basically, in the Dragon Age universe, there's various different enemies, so to speak. In the games, it's generally something called the Darkspawn, but in the animated movie here, it's what they call the mages, and there's in the mages they have this good mages and the bad mages, if you like, and the bad ones are generally called blood mages, and these blood mages are have got this plot to try and overthrow the current regime, the current Chantry, etc. And there's a plot involving a small girl, a small elven girl who has some special significance. There's potentially a traitor within the Chantry. And Cassandra, our female heroine, is like the badass warrior woman ultimately. Gets embroiled in this conspiracy and this plot really to try and overthrow the Chantry. She actually meets up with another good mage, if you like, and joins forces with him to try and overthrow these bad guys. Now I'm trying to go in the plot without giving away too many spoilers, so if that sounds a bit vague, that'll be the reason. Now, so in regards to this film, so the first thing, let's talk about the actual look of this film. So this has a a very anime look, and it's done with the computer generated, cell shaded look. And I have to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of that style of animation. I thought in some it looks very good when you see a still image, but to me sometimes I think it looks a little bit weightless. It's not, it is very pretty to look at in certain aspects, but to me it just takes me out of it a little bit. My personal preference is more of your traditional style animation, if you like. But nevertheless, I can appreciate that obviously some people will like this style. For me, it's not a criticism in the film especially, I just prefer other styles of animation. But however, the actual characters, the designs, and especially some of these monsters, I think look really good. To be fair, the designs are taken straight from the game, and it does look, the character designs, especially of the creatures and things like that, really are straight out of the game. So if you're a fan of the game, then you're going to get, you'll probably get more of it than someone who's just watching a animated or fantasy film or what have you. I also think you'll understand it a little bit better because you maybe understand the politics behind these different factions, and so I think you'll probably find it a little bit easier to get your head around if you have played the games. You can still watch it if you haven't, but I just think you'll probably get more from it. I think the actual voice acting is relatively good, I have to say here. I thought that the quality of the acting for an animated feature was definitely at an acceptable level. If I had to pick holes in this film, the major issue I guess I have with this film is the main character, Cassandra herself. And there's two things that bugged me about her. Firstly, is that I found her quite unlikable. She's constantly got a scowl on her face, and I get she's supposed to be this badass, so to speak, but nevertheless, it really doesn't make her a very likable character, and she doesn't really have, she's a fantastic warrior, which I'll come on to in a second, which is actually my second issue, but she doesn't really have any levity in that. She's not really just a likable person, so you almost want to see her get the smackdown, basically. Now the second issue I have, like I said, is that I think they maybe make her a little bit too good. She seems almost like Superman or Superwoman. Defeats pretty much everyone with seemingly relative ease, I have to say. I mean, she fights various different things. Obviously she's pursued by these Knights Templar who think she's turned to the dark side, so to speak. Mages, dragons, ogres, demons, all sorts of things. So, and she never really seems like she's in too much peril, I have to say. And some of the things she does, I think maybe push it a little bit too far. That's my personal opinion. And I think if you're a player of the game and you've fought some of these monsters and things in the game, you're going to maybe feel that way as well. major sort of travels with her, and I kind of liked his character a little bit more, though it was a little bit stereotypical, I have to say. But generally speaking, I mean, for a kind of a dark fantasy, it's relatively, I mean, it has a reasonable amount of blood in it, I would say. It's not a particularly adult feature film, but there is a fair bit of blood, but that's kind of was always the thing with the game as well, to be fair. So it kind of rattles on at a fair old pace, so it never really lost me in regards to being bored or anything like that. But I think it could have been better, but certainly not a disaster, this film. I'm going to give this one a 6.5 out of 10, so above average in my estimation, but there was certainly room for improvement. So 6.5 for me. Have you seen it? Let me know what you thought and leave me a comment. I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.